nyo kanina. And then we have one more question. One more. Okay, ito madali lang. I wanted to under 9. Ibig sabihin, pwede kayo. Yung mga under 9 ha. Sino ang kalaban ng Pilipinas kahapon? Under 9. Let's give chance to the younger ones. Okay, go here. Oh.
Sweden. Ilang taon? Switzerland.
Okay. Under 9. Ito. New Zealand. Okay. One more.
Switzerland.
Okay, masaya. Okay, guys, dahil nag-enjoy yung mga maliliit, maybe you give them two more questions to our grassroots or under 9. Ate Ses, may naisip ka ba? If the question is about football, sige, pagbigyan natin. Yesterday, it was Switzerland versus Philippines. So ngayon naman, ang tanong is, sino ang kalaban ng USA? Yung hindi pa. 9, under 9. Vietnam. Tama ko, sige, last itong mga to. Naghihintay talaga. Under 12, under 9 tayo, under 9 maliliit. Sige na nga, dito kayo. Last question. Coach, okay. Ano ang score kahapon? Sige, Louie, anong score? Dali. 2-0 in favor of, okay. Sige. Tandaan, okay. Hi, alive na lahat? Everyone is ready? Or one more question? Okay, sige. One more question. This is open to all. Who scored the first goal in the game earlier, USA versus Vietnam? Okay, yung hindi pa nakasagot, sige daw ate Ses. Ate Ses?
Sophia Smith po.
Sophia Smith, okay, very good. Okay, thank you everyone. So, let's proceed to a bit formal. I hope that you will listen kasi mamaya we will ask some questions. Okay, let's participate. So, back to online Tech Direct. So, welcome back Coach Kevin, Miss Marisa. I hope you're still there. But before we start, we would like to, it's so fun here, right? We would like to introduce one of our live speaker today, our friend of us also in Gawad Kalinga. So take it away, Ate Princess.
Okay, guys. I am thrilled to introduce our next exceptional speaker, Mr. Marco Casip, the visionary founder of Fund Life. As a non-profit organization, Fund Life harnesses the transformative power of sports to inspire thought leaders to drive sustainable social change in local communities. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Marco Casip.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Okay. So Marco will share about his programs and especially the project he have for girls for the longest time in the Philippines. So can you give us some background community lead?
Okay, so following up, I think there was a very good question here in the last session regarding specific issues for how to get girls into football and how to make sure they speak in them, and I think the speakers touched on this. So we also have a program dedicated for girls called Girls Community League, and it's really encouraging all girls to play, not have to be worried about playing directly with the boys, but also their peer group, and that's the main project to public schools. We want to get, I think similar to what Kevin was saying, we believe futsal is probably the easiest way to get more girls and boys into football just because of the space issues with or 11-a-side football.
Yeah, thank you Marco for that. So yes everyone, so in our work in the community development, especially using the power of organizing is and what available resources that we can have. And we are grateful that you are there also, like your presence mainly in Visayas, right?
In Cebu City and Mandaue before the pandemic. We were closed for nearly 3 years. So we're still slowly rebuilding the infrastructure in terms of coaching, in terms of the resources. But we're looking at creating new safe spaces. So I think the biggest issue for kids here in the Philippines is just really lack of safe spaces. If they don't have access to a private school, collectively, there should be more done really to help create more safe spaces for young kids.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to call out lang our kids here, our here. I can see you guys from the front, so I hope that we give your, because we'll watch the game later of Japan if you wanted to watch it later, and also the game of FEU at 6 p.m. So we ask their cooperation. So I know it's hard to handle with kids, right?
I think the kids are too busy eating.
They're so busy eating,
They're
so
enjoying the lunch.
okay, this is their lunch, coaches. So if you have one here, they have their favorite to into the stage. So what is your advice? Mentioned that both of you, Miss Marisa, able to be cut also once of her life as a player, and Coach Kevin as a head coach by selecting players as well. Okay. Marisa first. Okay. Volume.
Oh, can you hear me? Yeah? Is it good? So I can share, I mean, I think playing sports, that's part of what it is, no matter what sport. There's the wins, there's the high moments, injuries, there's all sorts of things. And I think if you're in it and you want to take the most out of it and learn from every moment, you have. So I had to have this because when you want to go and play professionally, you know that there's moments, and there's going to be moments where you aren't selected. There's going to be moments where you are, and you celebrate in those moments, and in the moments when you're not. Of course, you try to find out as much information as to why, but be your biggest cheerleader. You need to be able to keep yourself going. You need to still have confidence in yourself. You need to know that you have a lot of skill to get yourself to that point, and figure out what it is that you're missing. That's why I said in my first comment is be a student of the game, no matter what the game is. You know, if it's football, if you're interested in other sports, and really try to learn the most about it, and continue watching the game, watching others, so that you can become the best player that you can be. There will be moments when you're not selected, and it's out of your control. So what a lot of these players, when I read a lot of interviews and stuff of kind of top athletes, they say the most important thing is that you focus on what you can control. A decision that a coach is going to, at this moment, if you're not selected, you can say to yourself, you can leave, I did my best, most that I could do within my control, and I couldn't have asked for anything more. So it's really their decision. And then if you make it, then obviously know there's other people that didn't make it. So take advantage of the opportunity and really make sure that you're aware that other people also are watching and want to be in your position, so you got to do your best. And then if you don't make it, just learn from it and keep going. If you look at the women on the team, especially the ones like Megan Rapinoe, who've been on the team for a lot longer, she's talked about this in her history as a footballer. There were so many down moments, especially around a lot of injuries, to prevent injuries like this. But if you have an injury, you have to have the mindset that you can get better. You have to put the time in. You can make it work again, and you'll get back on the field. So, what I would just say is do everything you can within your control. Always give your best, and be inspired by others as well. So that's definitely as a player. That's to cut players, maybe not cut, but just that moment wasn't for them. I don't like to use the word cut, but so let's hear from Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, it's always a difficult decision on who to select. I don't really make the decision on personnel, but I discuss with our head coach. For me, I leave it as that. I don't meddle, right, in the selection process of the coach, because that's the coach's job. But as a former, not necessarily selecting the best 11 or the best 15 players. It's not really... whether or not you're selected to be part of a squad is not really indicative of how good you are as a player. Because your selection, especially in a team sport like football, futsal, it really depends on how you work with others, right? So it depends on the chemistry, the selected players individually are less selected because they work well in a group, in a unit, right? So let's say for like when I was, it just won't work. I mean, they won't play together as a unit. You need to have some players who do certain roles better than others. So if you're not selected for a team, don't get discouraged. Don't think that, oh, this is because the coach thinks I'm not any way an indication of how good or bad you are as a player. Now, with regard, if you're not encountering failure or setbacks in your life, then you should be worried. Why? Because that means you're not trying hard enough. No, you're not stretching yourself. You're not being uncomfortable. You're not taking on tasks that are beyond you. Because that's the only way that you will grow as a player and as a person. Is if you take on tasks that are, really stretched. Also, like what you do. You lift weights, resisting you. And it's really up to you on how you take that. Do you use that to better and improve yourself? And winners use failure to improve themselves. Athlete, their life journey is not success. It's actually setback, failure, and then they achieve success from learning. Good example, because I know a lot of you are fans of basketball as well, but he was cut when he was in 10th grade, and that's already quite old now. But he used that as motivation to become the best player, arguably. I personally think he's still the best player who ever played basketball. But that's an example of athletes using setbacks to be able to improve themselves. And you can apply this in life. Life is never easy. If somebody tells you life is easy, then I think they've never really lived life, because it's full of setbacks, and it's how you deal with it that determines whether you're successful or not. It's not how much money you make. It's not what car you drive. What skills are in front of you that determines whether or not you're successful. So sports is a good practice. So really try to stretch yourselves. Always look for those opportunities where you're not sure if you can be successful or not. Just try it. Just give your best. And most of the time, you'll be surprised that you would surprise yourself even more. So don't be afraid to fail. And you should look for opportunities where you will encounter failure, because, as I said, if you're not failing, then you should be worried because you're not trying hard enough, or you're not pushing or stretching yourself. So that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, that's powerful, right? So, if you're able to listen, guys, sabi nila Coach Marisa at Coach Kevin, hindi naman overnight talaga yung success. So, kung talagang yung mga successful na tao, lahat sila may pinagdaanan na failure. So, kung willing naman tayong hindi tayo nag-give up, kaya tuloy pa din at ma-achieve nyo din yung. So, yan. So, thank you for that wonderful message. So, I have, I think, one last question around for everyone. So, it's about our really topic about social inclusion right now. I would like to know your personal advocacy or your future for more inclusive in our society. So, I will start with Marco and then Ms. Marisa and Coach Kevin.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, when we talk about inclusivity, it's really open to everyone. It's not just male, female, it's really also all abilities. And I think the last question is really interesting because we have a couple of experts who obviously know about playing or selecting players at the highest level. So for us, it's also about giving opportunity to everyone just to really get those key skills. And it doesn't matter if you become a professional player or if you make a living or you become a coach in football. It's really the key skills that we try and impart. So inclusion for us is really all abilities. It's not about simply the best players or simply the ones that don't have access. It's really making it inclusive to marginalized groups, LGBTQ communities, and also it doesn't have to be football for us. It can be something that young people are passionate about. I think sometimes we're guilty of pushing maybe an agenda saying, okay, let's teach them football. But if there isn't an interest from certain groups in football, we can be creative. They can do other things. They can do music. They can do dance. They can do other sports. So I think we also have a responsibility when we talk about inclusion to make sure that we're aware that sometimes certain groups or certain individuals prefer something, because a lot of people now are, I do mention, safe space to play football. It's very limited, but with running there aren't that many obstacles. Also, again, you don't always have to rely on your teammates in this case, and with running you're really accountable to yourself. If you don't train, if you don't run, then you won't get better. Whereas sometimes in team sports, it's really, as Kevin mentioned, it's about the collective. You know, it's not always, but it's the ones that can adapt. So for us also, yeah, we've been quite creative now in expanding some of the sports that we do.
You invited me to do the run during the Women's Month. And during the pandemic also, I invited him to join our virtual run because we try to find ways how to get everyone to have access to the opportunity. So yeah, we can be creative sometimes. And Coach Marisa?
What was just said, and I would just echo completely. It has to also be interrelated and connected to diversity and equity. And if you want equitable sport opportunities for everyone, then sometimes the actual opportunities and the service and the program you're offering has to change. So if you want to make sure that something is inclusive, it's not just inviting people to the space, but people come with also preferences. They come, and if you want them to be fully who they are there, then you also have to be ready that you might have to also change what that space looks like, and there will be some restructuring. So I would say this is what Girl Power is all about. This is the organization I mentioned before, and we're actually starting a chapter in Germany. And we have an idea, of course, what we think the programs and the leadership academies will look like, but we also, it can change because we want to work with the actual women with migrant and refugee backgrounds, and if we want to actually also speaking with everybody there to find out really what it is, how to create this space so that everybody can really fully participate. So yeah, Girl Power that's what we're doing, and I would say that's one of the projects that really excites me. And then another one that I'm working on, and again, I'm working so I do monitoring, evaluation, and learning of different sport for development, and it's run by Common Goal. And what it is, they found out that a lot of young people who identify, are part of the LGBTQ+ community, do not feel that sport is a space for them. And so what they found as a solution or an intervention is working with the coaches and the people who are part of designing programs to make sure that they know how to use inclusive language, know how to properly behave, know how to address different situations when they come up, because they're trying to make sure that all youth of all backgrounds, including different sexual orientations, can participate and thrive in sport. And so this one for me is really an amazing program because it looks at the coaches, but it looks at the program. It looks at it's not just one solution isn't just working with the program, but the coaches, but it's looking at the entire program and environment that's created. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I think it's exciting that this is being pointed out and these types of programs are taking place. So yeah, that would be my and there's lots of amazing examples. Also, all the work I'm learning about what you all are doing is really exciting, and I want to hear more and learn more. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ms. Marisa. Coach Kev?
Yeah, in terms of inclusion, I definitely agree. Sport should be a safe space where all kids of different abilities, interests, and backgrounds should be able to thrive. We should give them that opportunity. One project I'm working on, it's not related to my foundational work, but I'm also a director with the PAREF schools. So this is a group of 9 private schools across the Philippines. The most notable one are Southridge and Woodrose. And we're trying to set up, we're trying to revamp the varsity sports programs, because the existing private schools, their sports programs, like what I mentioned earlier in the public schools, are really just varsity teams. So by default, when you say varsity teams, there's already a presumption or assumption that the program just caters to elite athletes, right? If you're not good enough to kick a ball, then you can't participate in the sport basically, because the only pathway is varsity or junior varsity athletics. No? So we've institutionalized the sports club program, and the sports club is basically the major principle there is sports should be inclusive as possible. No, whether you're just a beginner, you're serious, or you just want to have fun, then there's a space for you in that particular sport. So the mandate is that, let's say for example, for the soccer team, the football team, they're not supposed to just form a varsity team program or a development pathway towards varsity. They're also supposed to have programs that can cater to kids, develop and just make friends, right? So that's an expectation that each sport should have within that school system. So that's something I'm working with. We all have this vision that we want sports to lead that way, but I realize that when we actually practice, it's so challenging because so many coaches are of the mindset that sport is just for the elite. You know, I'm surprised at how many coaches have that a background, no, and trying to break that type of thinking, that system of thinking is actually quite challenging, no, because for many coaches, I don't blame them. They grew up in a system where your self-worth as a player and as a coach is determined by whether or not you win a medal, or you win a championship, or you make it as a scholar to university, or you make it as a professional. And sadly, that's the state of youth sports here in the Philippines, and I don't think they become elite athletes. That's why parents are spending so much, you know, on sports programs to make sure that their kids become the next Alex Morgan, or the next LeBron James, or the next whoever the great baseball player Mookie Betts, right? There's so much pressure on kids to become great that you see that the coaches are also of that mindset. So inclusion, yes, definitely we want to promote a lot of that, but there's the big challenge when it comes to youth sports on break programs. We think that, you know, the traditional way that sports is just catered to the elite athletes out there. So.
Thank you, Coach Ken, for that about the Park One. I think some of our coaches are able to join that kind of lecture online. We're really going to the different heights and coaching because we have to break that kind of stigma. In our end, before we part ways, we would like to share our programs. On August 20 to 30, our team will be in Sulu. So we try also to break that barrier and try to be inclusive, trying to reach communities that rarely visited or reached by sports programs. So we will be there. We'll be conducting some sports clinic for 6 municipalities. Then after that, train together with the aspiring coaches that we will train, and we will do a festival after the end of the clinic. So it's you're welcome. Those who wanted to volunteer, let me know, and I can arrange the logistics for you also. The other program that we're trying to promote for the inclusivity is Coach Kevin mentioned earlier. We got a grant from the FIFA Foundation where we will use the power of sports in reaching those community to teach more about reproductive health awareness in a fun way that not too shy from them. They try not to make this so controversial because in the Filipino culture, in the community or in the family, we don't talk about sex. So try using this power of sports, SDG number 3, the wellness. We will try to go to 3 identified communities where, based from the statistics, there's a high rate of early teenage pregnancy, and we'll go there and then use the tool that we developed, the games, and also hoping that at the end of the program, girls and boys can able to really appreciate their worth and move forward. Sometimes, really the causes of the problem is not only about the social pressure, but really about having the basic knowledge about it. So that's what we are trying to check, and then we will accompany it with research. So we are still looking for a potential research partner. We have the data, and then if you are into it and yes, you're welcome. The Philippine Nursing Association in the Region 10 in Bukidnon for accepting our proposal, and we are still looking for more potential partners into this so we can able to make more programs that are inclusive and data-driven, design based on the needs and the community. And that's it. Thank you everyone. I hope that you have a great time and you enjoyed our session today. And Coach Kevin, Miss Marisa, and Marco, it takes time to fly in just to be here, and the team Synchrony are here. So thank you very much. Our communities from Gawad Kalinga, from Cavite are here right now because tomorrow, we will not end the program, but tomorrow we will have some women in football clinics and festivals. So all the girls can play in a nice thing, SM Cherry Turf, for allowing us to use their field. And then some of our girls, this is their first time to play in a real pitch. So we want this to be memorable as we celebrate the World Cup, the Pilipinas team, and we wanted to bring the experience also to our community and to our young aspiring Filipinas. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at welcome to Gawad Kalinga community.
And guys, please say a big thank you to Big. And Big for organizing everything. Thank you, Big.
Hey, thank you. Alright. Bye, Coach. Have a networking and chit-chat. Nasa mga group picture dito, likod, ulit dito sa baba. Like yesterday. Thank you, Coach Kev. Ayan, nagulo sila. Coach, maraming salamat sa time. Usap tayo soon. Ayan. Guys, pasok dito mga kids. Ayan. Doon sa harap yung iba, sir, mas maganda.
Lahat po, wala pong matitira sa upuan. Lahat po dito sa unahan. Everyone, please, dito po sa unahan. Sagad ulit dito sa may lamesa. Sagad po. Sa may lamesa po. Ayan, ganyan o, ganyan kayo sa table o. Dito. Pasok pa dito. Boys, sagad sa gilid. Sagad pa po. Sagad pa, Andre. Sagad pa. Ayan yung pala yan dito pa para makita yung mga nasa likod. Ayan, yung iba na hindi na makita dyan, dahil dito sa harapan, dito ako sa harap. Let's go. Ready? Make sure yung mga hawak ng flag hindi nakakahanap sa mukha ng iba. Okay. Ready? Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3. One more.